ESPN Classics Who's Number One. I'm Trey Wingo. Our topic on this day is those who accelerate, elevate, levitate, and detonate. And that's the end of the rhyming. This is a celebration of the dunk and those who throw them down, the windmills, the tomahawks, the two-hand jams. Look, dunking is an art form, and we're about to present the Lords of the Rim, the 20 most spectacular dunkers in NBA history. But hold on. One note, dunk contest not included. We're keeping this pure.
Anybody can dunk in a slam dunk competition, but if you're able to get your dunks off against competition, that's where I give a lot of guys credit for it.
A dunk, to me, it gets you going. You can be having a bad game and you catch a dunk and it just gets you flowing, it gets your juices flowing.
You got different kind of dunkers. You got guys that dunk hard, you got guys that dunk finesse, you got guys that dunk with flair, charisma, passion.
It's kind of like when you write a sentence, you know, some sentences end in a period. Then some sentences end in an exclamation point. That's a dunk, it's an exclamation point.
Stevie got sneaky hops. He was bouncing crazy in college, and he can jump so high that even though he can't palm the ball, he can still do one-hand dunks because he gets up so quick.
Steve has unbelievable bounce. It's very rare that you see teams throwing lobs for your point guard in-game, in traffic.
At 6'3", Steve Francis is the shortest dunker on our list and has to soar higher than the rest. That's not a problem.
When you have that adrenaline rush and you're just going up on maybe one or two people, you know, your eyes get humongous. And, you know, the goal is wide open, just like if you're on fire. And once you're up there, you just feel great.
It doesn't matter if you're 7 foot, he's going to go and try and go up through you. And most of the time, it's one of those, oh, he's not going to try and dunk. Oh, he's not going to, oh, no, he's in the air. And then it's just pretty much a wrap.
If you watch how he plays, you know what I mean? And the dunk is just the icing on the cake. You gotta go like this, or a dunk.
Harold Miner's career, I think, was a little overhyped. You know, they called Harold Baby Jordan, and he didn't really quite get there.
He could do all the dunks that Michael could do. You know, unfortunately, his career didn't go in the same direction, but, you know, he was a very athletic, could dominate in college.
He's a fun guy to watch at USC, one of those guys in traffic in college that would just go up and ram into him, about 3 or 4 people hanging on his arms.
In college, Harold Miner made the rim sing. In the NBA, his dunking concerts tended to precede the games.
I played with Harold in Miami. We just couldn't believe his athletic ability. We didn't get to play a whole lot, so we saw a lot of his dunks and warm-ups, and I'm telling you, they were amazing.
One of my great mysteries in basketball, whatever happened to Baby Jordan? I've Googled Harold Miner, and I can't find out what happened to him, but he could dunk. He was a showman.
Número 18.
Amari Stoudemire is like a young pogo stick, because whenever he goes up, you know, he's going to come down hard.
Oh, Amari Stoudemire elevating and detonating.
The amazing thing about Stoudemire is that he catches it, and he's got great body control, and he'll just turn and just monster, and there's nothing you can do.
Although Amari Stoudemire went directly from high school to the NBA, he was already a full-grown man when it came to power slams.
Animal, he's a beast. Like, he tries to dunk everything. He tries to dunk on everybody.
Go around him. Whoever he couldn't go around, he'd jump over him. If he couldn't jump over him, he'd jump through him. And he still was going to throw it down, like, real hard.
He's fearless. He doesn't care. You know, he dunked on Oliver Candy. Just something sickening, you know.
When he threw it down, it was like, all I could do was like this. I kind of shook my head.
He can get off the ground quick. He can run, push the ball. He can take 1-2 dribbles. He can vert dunk. But he's also so creative with everything that he does.
Number 17.
Darrell Griffith was like David Thompson. He was small, he was explosive.
He was a guy that would surprise you. He'd go up in the middle and get his dunks off on some bigger guys, so he was pretty impressive.
1976 was the year of the dunk and the funk. 6'4" Darrell Griffith enrolled at Louisville as the dunk was being reinstated in college basketball, and when funk legend George Clinton's song Dr. Funkenstein became a hit. A colorful nickname soon emerged.
It was perfect timing to have an exciting part of the game installed back into the game. And we came up with the whole Dr. Dunk scenario, and it all spun off of my name, Dr. Dunkenstein, and we just kind of ran with it.
People would gasp because of the size and the ability to hang in the air. And then the thunder. You would have to say, oh, wow, that kid can really go.
Griffith can really jam him.
You got to have a guy who's given the ability to be able to jump. And then with that becomes a creativity which brands you.
Isaiah Ryder, when he first came into the NBA, he was dunking the basketball so hard there in Minnesota that it was unreal.
He just had big man ups. The guy could fly, and he had another innate ability of being able to finish on top of people.
I'm 6'6", and his ability to do the things he can, I don't understand it. But another guy who could just get up and do some crazy things in the air.
Ahead to Ryder. Buckle up! Oh!
Anything on the breaks, he would take off from a long way out, and usually just a one hand, cock it back, throw it down pretty hard guy.
For those who vainly tried to defend him, Isaiah Ryder would swoop to the hoop and celebrate with a defiant tongue.
Ryder was a tremendous dunker. He's a great showman. People like to watch it. Just so fundamentally flawed as a player and didn't care because all he wanted to do was make the highlight reel.
On our return, we'll highlight some golden oldies and some young guns. Who's number one? We'll be right back with the best dunkers of all time.
Kevin's like coffee. He's high on octane.
Looking inside, Robinson. Oh, Garnett!
He's an energy guy. He's the 7-foot Red Bull.
Kevin Garnett has height and hops and wingspan, plus energy and exuberance. His dunks are destructive works of art.
Lobbing, Garnett, the chair! Oh, Kevin, have mercy!
His dunks are exciting because he puts flair to it. When he goes up, his goal is to try to tear the rim off.
I remember as a kid watching him. He kind of scare you out there when he dunk. He's out there talking to himself and pounding on his chest and everything.
He's not the strongest, most physical player, but no one's going to block his dunk. No one's going to get in his way because he's just going there with such, ferocity.
One of Garnett's most emotional dunks came during the Timberwolves' home opener of the 2000-2001 season when the jersey of former teammate Malik Sealy was retired. Sealy had died in a car accident the previous spring.
During the national anthem, I heard him saying, "This game's for you. This game's for you, Malik."
And I remember somebody took a shot and missed it. And Kevin grabbed this rebound in the air, like with one hand, and slammed it down. Looked up at Malik's banner, just kind of pointed his finger up to me, like, "That's for you." It's one of the most amazing dunks I ever saw in my life.
Yes.
Dwayne Wade amazes me. He's one of those guys that weaves in and out of traffic and just rises up on you.
Either go get it, dunker. Like, I'm in the building. I'm here. I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to dunk it 100 times if you let me dunk it 100 times. If you don't let me dunk it, I'm going to dunk it on you anyway.
Even though he's one of the little guys, he's a guy who attacks the basket and attacks it with vengeance. He has no fear of going to the basket.
His gracefulness and his ability to slam the basketball on par with anybody that's ever played.
Larry Nance was a great dunker because although he was tall, 6'10", he moved like a guard. And he still had the fluidity to do things in the air, the dipsy-doos, that you don't see in big men.
Larry Nance was one of the top big dunkers, and I think he's the guy that really don't get the credit that he deserves.
Here he comes, there he goes.
Spidery and explosive, Larry Nance first drew notice at Clemson, then with the Suns and the Cavs, for whom he rattled rims in a long and mostly unsung career.
Dunking is an art, and just like any great artist, you have it or you don't. And a guy like Larry Nance, he had it, especially when the alley-oops were thrown to him. He could just go and get it.
There's the lob to Nance. What a great dunk.
He was, what, 6'9", 6'10", and could jump? Oh, my gosh. You know, and he was strong with it, and he had a little bit of style. Man, what more can you ask for?
That's my guy, T-Mac. He's explosive, he's deceptive. You know, you don't think he's gonna get as high as he does, but he just keeps going higher and higher.
Throwing him lobs was very easy because you could throw it basically anywhere. He's gonna catch it and dunk it.
Tracy McGrady went from high school to Toronto, where eventually he teamed with his cousin, Vince Carter.
Tracy didn't like dunking, but he can do it. It's amazing. He can take off a long way and just do some crazy stuff.
He's so smooth when he dunk, but it's like when you T-Mac off, then that's when the dunks is coming in where he's like waking up an angry giant. Like, man, you guys bother, all right, here it goes. This is what you want to see?
T-Mac and then Orlando.
One of the most impressive dunks I ever saw happening in an All-Star game. Tracy McGrady, just in the flow of the game, threw it off the backboard with a dunk, and everyone's like, whoa.
I always want to be that guy, to be the first to do it and do it on a big stage. All the All-Stars around and you do something like that, that's a dunk to remember.
I saw him do it. First time he did, I think it was in a preseason game. And let me tell you, he did it against, when he was with the Magic. I was hurt. He did it in Orlando. He threw it off the backboard and dunked it, and I remember him looking at me and kind of like winking, like, yeah, you see that?
I got to play with Connie when I was growing up.
Stop the beat.
He was Elgin after Elgin and Julius before Julius.
I've seen Connie since high school, and this guy had hands like Julius Erving. He could grab that ball like it was a grapefruit, and he could make all kinds of moves.
As the ball is bouncing just a little bit above the foul line, he takes the ball in the air, elevates, goes down, and whams it. Be over and out of the gym. The place was empty. That was it. That's one of the greatest dunks I've ever seen of all time. The hook dunk.
Though innocent, Connie Hawkins' association with a point shaver cost him his college eligibility and led him to be barred from the NBA during most of his best years. Therefore, many of his most electrifying flights of fantasy exist only in memory.
You know, Doc, on TV, you saw him in the ABA, you saw him in the NBA. In those days, TV didn't cover the hook.
Connie Hawkins was one of the great soarers and swoopers of all time, who had that windmill dunk where he'd start about with a foul line and hold the ball up and throw it down and throw his arms around. Nobody'd ever seen anything like Connie Hawkins.
And that's what you call a real legendary player. And when you think that we never saw his best years, sad.
When we return with the best dunkers ever on Who's Number One, see why we need the breakaway rim. Look out below.
Well, LeBron's just a beast. You know, he really is.
LeBron dunks are so great because he does dunk contests, dunks in an actual game. And I think for a guy, you know, his size, he skies.
We always felt that when LeBron got in the open court, he was like a runaway freight train, and he was impossible to stop.
Even in high school, there was a flare in the air when LeBron James revved up his jets.
He's just a man-child. The basketball is just a little pea in his hand, and the rim is just a Nerf hoop.
He brings thunder, and he brings excitement. When LeBron James gets out in the open court, you kind of feel, you say, what is he going to do? What kind of a dunk is he going to dunk?
He's a player, to me, that has amazing, exciting dunks. You know, like the one he did on Damian Jones. Like, if I was Damian Jones, we couldn't be friends anymore. I mean, it's like, I'm not going to sign in Cleveland. Y'all can keep the money. I'd rather just go somewhere else. I can't be with this guy all of the time the way he has done me. So those are the kind of dunks that end friendships.
Number six.
Sean Kemp, he was kind of my era when he was young. You never think he was going to get to the rim from how far he took off. And the way he threw him down was amazing.
He kind of transcended the game with his. The way he ran the floor, the way he was sliced to the basket, the way he was fearless.
It rains in Seattle, you may have heard that. And for 8 flamboyant seasons, Sean Kemp, a.k.a. the Rain Man, poured thunder and lightning through the nets.
I like to get the crowd into it and feed off the emotion.
His dunks were vicious dunks. You know, he's the type of dunk you get out of the way. Don't even try to block. You're not going to block.
The Lister Blister, when he dunked on Allen Lister and then pointed at him.
Going to the hoop. Wow! Now that is attacking the basket.
It's like he lost his balance on purpose just so he can lean back and point at him.
At that time, we had this slogan going around Seattle, not in our house, and that was my statement.
I remember another time he dunked on Chris Gatlin, and after he dunked on him, Chris Gatlin had to, give him his props. You're embarrassed, but you just got to give a guy his props. Like, you know what? You got it.
The later guy y'all saw, for you younger players, the guy y'all saw in a couple of those teams the last couple of years, that ain't the Rain Man. I'm talking about the guy I'm playing in Seattle. That's the Rain Man. Clyde was a great dunker. He had a high vertical leap. He was a slasher type guy that could come in and glide and take off from pretty far.
Clyde Drexler, to me, he started the new era of highlight dunks. Started at Houston with the 5 Slammer Jammer bunch.
We were watching Houston play Memphis State, and Clyde Drexler jumped over Andre Turner and dunked. He jumped over a guy, and we all, and he started screaming and running around the room because he couldn't believe he just saw that.
Clyde could dunk like Michael Jordan, but it wasn't dynamic. It was Clyde, the glide, and it was smooth. And it fit in with him in reference to how he played the game.
He looked like he could walk on air. He just floated to the basket. And it looked like he always would keep floating when he took off.
Clyde was famous for dribbling all the way down the floor, despite the fact that his head was completely down. And then at the last second, he just would lift it up and soar through the air and dunk on you. And if you watched it on tape, you would swear the guy had no idea where he was on the court.
He's one of the greatest dunkers in history, and on any scale. He was just one of those guys that, didn't make a lot of noise, but he just looked good doing what he did best.
We're down to our final 4, and when we return with Who's Number 1, we'll examine posterizing.
Frederick Weiss. Now, if you remember, Frederick Weiss was drafted by the Knicks, and then he got dunked on in the Olympics, and he never got on the plane and came to play for the Knicks.
Vince, remember when he dunked on Alonzo? It's crazy.
Carter, drop.
I was home that night just watching the game on TV. And I remember my son was sitting in my lap, and I jumped, and he fell onto the floor because I was so excited to see that dunk, because I just had never seen a better dunk in my entire life. I'll never forget it.
That's half man, half amazing. The stuff he does is not even real. You know, it's like it looks so effortless.
Vince Carter is probably the greatest dunker the NBA has ever seen.
Vince Carter, there he goes.
When he attacks the basket, you know what's coming, and you know everybody just get out of the way.
Growing up, Carter became a student of the dunk, studying tapes of the top aerialists, incorporating their best flybys into his repertoire.
When a guy does a windmill, he'll cradle it a little bit with the, kind of a cradle windmill. For me, I figure it's a little harder if you do the full extension, arm fully extended, because you have to bring, it's more of a windmill, like the word.
The thing that makes him so unique is when he does that 360, for a right-hander, you're usually turning this way. He's turning the opposite way, which makes it much more difficult in my eyes.
We were in Indiana, and he got the ball on the baseline, and Cuz got it and went from one side of the basket, windmilled on the other side of the basket.
You just think there's no way he's going to be able to continue to go as high as he is and over somebody, and before you know it, he's at the rim slamming it. A wise man once said that he won the genetic lottery because he has a 60-inch vert, because he has freakishly long arms, because he has a ridiculous amount of body control and hang time. It's kind of like the perfect storm. Everything just came together, when it came to athleticism, and it was kind of thrown all into his body. When Dominique first came on the scene, he took everything to the rack.
The power that he brought with his dunks, he brought the house down when he dunked.
No matter what it is, he's coming at you hard, 100 miles per hour, like a train going downhill with no brakes.
It's ferocious, and when you can hear it, you can feel it.
Dominique Wilkins brought champagne to dunking. He would spiral through the air like a corkscrew, pop one, and leave a trail of oohs and ahs.
If you consistently watch Atlanta Hawks games, there inevitably would be 2, 3, 4 moments when Dominique Wilkins would do something that would just make your eyes just like leave your body.
He had the explosive, boom, and I'm up. And then when he came down with great power, velocity.
Dunking for me was really just a tool that I used for intimidation. It was just something I used to kind of put fear in people, to back them up.
He was always in a position to make you a poster child.
Some of the putbacks you've seen off of misses, just over 3 or 4 guys that were just standing there, had no idea what had happened to him. He would dunk on entire teams, including his own teammates, if they were in the way on an offensive rebound.
Dominique had it all. They didn't call him a human highlight reel for nothing. Everything that guys do today, they flow out of me.
Once they put the ball on the floor, they were going to the basket, and their goal was to somehow dunk a basketball. Where did it start? It started with Julius Erving.
19 down, 1 left. That's one as in number 1. ESPN Classic selection for the best dunker ever, to be celebrated when we return.
Welcome back to Who's Number 1 and the 20 most spectacular dunkers in NBA history. Let's recap.
Number 20, Steve Francis. Number 19, Baby Jordan, Harold Miner. Number 18, Amari Stoudemire. Number 17, Dr. Duncanstein, Darrell Griffith. Number 16, Isaiah Ryder. Number 15, Kevin Garnett. Number 14, Dwayne Wade. Number 13, Leapin' Larry Nance. Number 12, Tracy McGrady. Number 11, the Hawk, Connie Hawkins. Number 10, Chocolate Thunder, Darryl Dawkins. Number 9, Kobe Bryant. Number 8, the Skywalker, David Thompson. Number 7, King James, LeBron James. Number 6, the Rain Man, Sean Kemp. Number 5, Clyde, the Glide Drexler. Number 4, Vince Carter. Number 3, the human highlight film, Dominique Wilkins. Number 2, Dr. J, Julius Erving.
Well, so far, the control tower has given takeoff clearance to 19 Walk on the Clouds aerialists. That means there's one left. The most spectacular dunker in NBA history. Probably already figured out who it is.
Michael Jordan took dunking to another level. Just for the simple fact is he gave us all the illusion that he could fly.
Michael is obviously one of the greatest leapers, that ever played in this game. And the power that he brings in his dunks, is just amazing.
His creativity, style, hang time, he had it all. My all-time favorite from Michael Jordan has to be when he did Rock the Cradle. Every kid in America, I think, tried to rock the cradle, but nobody could ever dunk it. We all just lay it up.
He had a drive. He had a God-given ability to be able to dunk, and he had a relentless ability to try to destroy his opponent by any means necessary.
I can remember standing on the basket one time and Michael was coming in from the side, and we were running down there to try to close him off, and next thing I knew, he was going by me. And, his shorts were going right by my face, and he dunks over Parrish and me.
Jordan one time dunked the ball over Johnny Stockton, and the owner yelled at him, "Why don't you do that against someone your size?" And Jordan heard the remark.
Very next play down, he steals the ball, dunks on Mel Turpin, who's like 7 foot. Turns around the middle, he says, "He big enough for you?"
It wasn't for nothing that he was called Air Jordan. One of Michael Jordan's thunderclap dunks in New York is still held in awe.
Me and Charles Oakley had him trapped in the corner, and he did a half moon, like he was getting ready to go back out the spin, but he spent back baseline. Just an incredible dunk. I didn't say anything to Patrick after that.
There was, no dunk ever done that he wouldn't try. As in all things, Michael was in a class by himself or awfully close to it.
He's the ultimate jump high, jump low, creative, fly, sky. He just kind of did things the way he wanted to.
Michael brought a grace and an elegance to dunking that the world had never seen, and that some of the top dunkers today's game get a lot of their inspiration from those early days of MJ.
When he got the ball in his hand, you expected something great to happen. And you knew once he got in the air, it was nothing anybody can do. You just sit there and watch. Probably the most charismatic dunker in history.
And now, as is our custom, we turn to the second guessers to assess our rankings. ESPN.com's very own Scoop Jackson and ESPN the Magazine's Chris Broussard gravity-bound both. Fellas?
Let's get to the business. Straight to the list, dog.
Well, I have problems right from the top. And Michael Jordan, best player of all time, not the best dunker of all time. He's top 3, but there is no way Vince Carter is any lower than 1 on this list. Come on. The Frederick Weiss dunk alone, you hurdled a 7-footer.
Right.
Like you were in a track meet,
right,
you know?
Right.
Then he's posterized some of the best shot blockers in history. The Kimbe. The Kimbe don't do this to Vince.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
He does this, all right? You know, I mean, Tim Duncan he's dunked on.
Yeah.
You know, Alonzo.
Yeah, the league pass dunk everybody's talking about.
That's one of the most ferocious dunks you'll
and
ever
dunked on Shaq. And the one thing you don't see too many people dunking on Shaq, and he got one off on Shaq. Yeah, he got one off on Shaq. Okay, I'm with you on that. All right, my biggest thing on here is that I think if, in the same vein of what you're saying, if Dominique is number 3, he can be no lower than number 2 in my list.
I'll give you that. I mean, Neek, you know, there's people think he beat Jordan in that dunk contest. I mean, I'm a Mike fan, so I go with Mike.
Right.
But in game situations, there's no question. The human highlight film, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You know?
And power.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. He dunked with power, and he did dunks that came out of nowhere, you know, that people weren't expecting. And he revolutionized the tip dunk.
Yeah.
And that people, you know, you can see Vincent, you know when he's going to dunk. You see Mike, you know when the setup's coming. But with Nick, it'd be a missed shot. He's not even in the play. And out of nowhere.
Yeah, Nick was just ridiculous. And the thing about Nick, and Sean Kemp, too, because I think of Sean Kemp as like a taller version of Nick.
Right.
The unorthodox body movement. You know, Nick was pigeon-toed and just, it Kemp too, if I'm not mistaken. You know, and just the movements, that makes for a nice-looking dunk. When you just kind of move strangely and all that, you know.
He got graceful when he got in the air.
Yeah.
But you can't put Sean Kemp on this list without having Gary Payton on there as a sidebar. He's robbing because he set my man up. I mean, they took the alley-oop to him. Gary wouldn't even look.
Yeah.
You know, Gary be at half court, and at the time, we had never seen anything like that. You know, half him being on this list this high.
Alley-oops.
Yo, Gary made him look beautiful.
Well, you mentioned high on the list. I think Clyde has to drop. You know, I know he was Fly Sam and Jammer and all that, but number 5, come on. Clyde, it's because of the lack of variety. I mean, he soared, he glided in, you know, the one-handed dunk.
He did his thing.
But, you know, that was pretty much it for the most part, you know, and...
You sure one of those kangaroo shoes you were looking at that kind of like dropped it down off the list?
That didn't help, that's for sure. But, you know, he's in the top 20, but he's not number 5. And I'm looking at the list number 7, my man, LeBron James. LeBron is going to end up being one of the top 2 players of all time on this list. But dunkers, not number 7? Number 7? I wouldn't have a problem if LeBron wasn't on the list. Now, I'll give him maybe 19, 20, but if he's not on the list, I wouldn't have a problem. When I look at the fact that Jason Richardson's not on the list, Charles Barkley, 6'4", amongst the trees.
Yes,
you know
sir.
what I mean?
And
going up over, and had the little heft to him.
Yeah.
That made it look better. You know, chunky guy like that going up over people.
Okay.
You know, so LeBron, I mean, maybe in 5 years, you know, we'll look back at some of his dunks, but at this point, he gets up high and he's got the power. But over Kobe.
Yeah, man, Kobe's so nasty. You know, Kobe's like Kobe at 9 now. He needs to be top. I got David Thompson in the top 5. Kobe's probably right up under there.
Right under.
Right under there.
Yeah,
Kobe,
I mean,
just on that dunk alone that people forgot he did in the preseason at UNLV at the Thomas and Mack Center when he came down the lane where the other team left the bench. Losing it. Come on, Kobe's done some ridiculous.
I mean, Kobe, let's be honest, his game and his dunks look a lot like Michael's.
Yeah.
So you can't have Michael number 1 and Kobe number 9.
That's true.
Come on.
Ask you a question. Who shouldn't be on here?
Well, I'm questioning LeBron, but Larry Nance, no way. Now, if you taking dunk contests, yeah, that stuff was nice when he beat Dr. J, and old Dr. J, by the way.
Right.
But Larry Nance, game dunks, no, he's not on here. And my man Harold Miner, Harold might have made the list if he had played more, you know, but he only played.
He have enough dunks in his criteria, right. You gotta have at least 25 dunks.
He probably only had about 4 game dunks, you know. I mean, come on, you know. And Isaiah Ryder, you could question too.
Let's get back to the top 5. Give me your top 5 in order. Top 5 in order.
All right, Vince number 1, Dominique number 2, Air Jordan number 3, Dr. J number 4. Because we miss out. Doc gets punished because of his ABA days. We don't get to see that as much. And then number 5, I'm iffy, but I'm probably going with Sean Kemp.
All right.
And Kobe a close.
I'm going to give you Vince, but Nick is so close, he might as well be 1 and 1B. All right? Then I'm going to give you Michael Jordan. Then I'm going to give you Dr. J. And no disrespect to Sean Kemp, David Thompson.
It's hard to argue that.
Got to do that.
Skywalker.
Yeah, got to do his thing. All right. Thanks. Back to you, Trey.
Thanks.